Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a great start to your weeks. Happy Monday, everybody. Today, we're going to be diving into our daily cryptocurrency market update, where we not only tackle the cryptocurrency space, but we look at the external world around us. As we know, we are affected by a number of different factors outside of our market. The dollar and the Federal Reserve and what they do and don't do is a huge one that we've spoken about in great detail. We do still have the kind of deflationary pressures that the Federal Reserve are looking to impose with interest rate hikes as a headwind for our market. But what I want to do in this video is really be reconfirming the direction I think Bitcoin is going in. We're consolidating in very much the same manner that we said we were going to, which is fine. We could even have a little bit more of a spiller, but ultimately, I think we're in a similar place to where we were over here. And I'm going to show you that Bitcoin becomes, and one reason I think Bitcoin is going to continue to climb is because it becomes more and more relevant as the days go on. This is a pretty famous meme, famous picture. At the back, you've got a guy here that says buy Bitcoin, and it's talking about Yellen, who strongly opposed an audit of the Fed. And that's as true now as it's ever been. We're going to talk about the fact that Fidelity, countries that secure some Bitcoin today, will be better off than their peers. This is a trend that we're seeing continue. Countries, certainly your poorer countries, are looking to Bitcoin as a lifeboat, essentially, as a kind of saving grace for their own systems, for their citizens, to kind of mitigate some of what the Federal Reserve are going to do. The Federal Reserve and the actions that they choose to take or not take have a direct impact on the global economy. Certainly your emerging nations, when the dollar gets strong, those currencies usually get slammed down. And this brings up Bitcoin's relevance because Bitcoin is less tethered, still very tethered, but it's held up significantly better than a lot of these emerging markets, a lot of these kind of smaller currencies have against the dollar. So it benefits citizens, it benefits countries like Brazil adding 1% of their, or turning 1% of their treasury into Bitcoin, and allowing their citizens to pay taxes in Bitcoin and receive a 10% discount, and El Salvador, and we're seeing this kind of continue certainly in those regions. The relevance for Bitcoin just doesn't go away, and this is why I think certainly fundamentally we're going to continue to climb as Bitcoin is now acting as a real store of value, and we're seeing this across the board. So we'll be getting into that. Also talking about China and the Chinese yuan and how it could be under more pressures after surprise rate cuts. So they're talking about the Chinese yuan getting weaker. We know the Chinese yuan, or the Chinese party, essentially are moving towards a CBDC, a central bank digital currency. It doesn't matter whether they make their currency digital or not. It's still going to get inflated away like every other fiat system. It's the whole concept of fiat systems. It's almost wrote into how they work. So Bitcoin, just because, and we know that the Fed are also releasing a CBDC report in regards to their central bank digital currency. Just because something goes digital, it doesn't really mean that it solves any problems. Yes, it may be sort of a faster system to use, a more convenient system in many ways, but the underlying problem, which is inflation, which is a tax on everybody, and really drives that inequality gap that we spoke about in yesterday's video, that is a complete component of inflation, because the bottom half of society do not own assets. Typically, they live month to month, and their wages have gone a little bit less far due to everything going up as the monetary supply inflates. So Bitcoin's relevance does not go away. This is why I ultimately think we're going to continue, regardless of what happens on a short-term time frame. And I want to point something out very quickly. You are in a very, not only structurally does what took place over here and what we're currently going through look similar, but also we're kind of ranging in between some pretty crucial levels right now, ladies and gentlemen. So if you see what took place over here, and you can see that you're in a similar range bound today, guys. Can you see this? And you're potentially at the bottom of it. Now that means that Bitcoin, what I'll do is I'll make these different colors. Can you see where we are today and how it's very similar to where we've previously been? You're in a similar kind of range, ladies and gents. So this was your, sorry, I've got that wrong. This was your previous. And this was the one prior. Can you see that? You're in the same sort of range bound, and ultimately I think this is going to lead to a breakup and you're going to go on to see new all-time highs. It also ties in with the sort of macro structure that we think is at place, that you're kind of doing something like this, ready for a break to the upside. You're squeezing higher, and that's ultimately what we think is to come for Bitcoin, and the fundamental reasons really support it. And this is certainly, this article really sums up a lot of things. Fidelity are a huge corporate in America. They're a huge corporate actually across the world, but they're centered in America. And the fact that they're calling for this shows a real trend continuation is at hand. Chinese yuan, of course, they're coming under pressure, even though we've seen the US sort of say, okay, we're going to start reining in interest rates and start to clamp down on inflation. China's actually started to ease stimulus a little bit and allow it to sort of the tap to turn on, which is going to see further downside for their currency. Ultimately, this is why when China come out and ban exchanges, ban Bitcoin mining, it's a real loss for the citizens, because ultimately they're the real losers in this. They don't get some sort of an alternative system to the one that their government's proposed, and it's a real shame. But then again, China do that with a lot of things. Things like Google, basic things are banned within that region. This is from the Fed. So the Fed are having a little bit of a move around. The Fed is about to see a lot of new faces, what it means for banks, the economy, and markets. This was a great article. A little bit of a kind of shift. What I am going to do over the coming days is take a look into some of these people they're proposing and see what their kind of stances, or if there's anything publicly about what their stances are on crypto, as we may end up with some more crypto-friendly members of the Federal Reserve, which would be fantastic. We'll go into a little bit of on-chain data. Let's take a look at Ethereum. Ethereum is really just following Bitcoin to a T. Something like Cardano that has fundamental reasons for why it's pumped. We've been talking about this for a while, has done very well, and in my opinion is going to continue to do well. They're at a very pivotal point in terms of their network and it becoming used. You're about to see a lot of usage and utility flow into ADA with their dApps turning on. But Ethereum is really following Bitcoin, and is going to follow it a lot closer than something like Cardano that has its own fundamental reasons for moving. Although I still think ETH will do well. For me personally, and I tweeted this earlier, I actually sold half of my Bitcoin and half of my Ethereum and moved it into Cardano because I think ADA will outperform both of these assets this year. For a number of reasons. I think it's got a lot still to come for it. It's also got a lot smaller market cap, smaller price. It's really market cap you want to pay attention to. And I think this has a lot more room to grow than something like Ethereum and Bitcoin. But only at this point, there's a law of diminishing returns. When an asset gets so big, the kind of returns that you're going to see get lesser and less. And that's the main reason, given the fundamentals that are taking place within ADA, that I think it's going to outperform. So that's my stance at the moment. I still hold ETH and Bitcoin. It was quite a sobering decision, as I've actually held Bitcoin and Ethereum for a long time, and was quite sentimental about it. But ultimately, I'm here to make money, and I'm going to bet on the fastest horse. And I think ADA will outperform, along with a number of other altcoins, both Bitcoin and Ethereum, given the kind of market caps that they're currently at. So this is something else that I have for you. Bitcoin total supply held by short-term traders. We've looked at this quite a lot, guys, to kind of show you that ultimately hodlers are taking over now. And this is also a tweet for long-term Bitcoin investors. When you zoom out, Bitcoin users growth is up and to the right. This is what we're seeing, and this is why we're ending up with a higher floor than when we started off time and time again for Bitcoin. It's going to continue, and we've still yet to see any kind of real mass adoption, and we know that we are moving, or certainly taking steps within that direction. So extremely bullish. The dollar's seen a little bit of strength today, which is why you could be having a bit of an off day for Bitcoin. The FTSE is open and continued to climb, which is the top 100 stocks in the UK, but they never really recovered from, or still haven't recovered yet from, their sort of March 2020 spiller. NASDAQ, we'll see where this turns out when it opens, and of course I'm watching a lot of the tech stocks to see how they perform, because that, there has typically been a correlation between the tech stocks and our market. So that's largely what I have for you in this video, guys. I just thought it would be a short and sweet update. Markets are lackluster. Thing is, with crypto, you do get periods like this where markets don't really do a lot, and then all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and everything's going through the roof, or selling off violently. It's a very volatile asset class, very low volume at the moment, but it is January. Ultimately, as the year progresses, I think things are going to start to pick up, and we're going to sort of start to make headwind in the direction I believe we're going. So that's really what I have for you guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you're not already following me on Twitter, head over to @RealAllinCrypto. We do post some more timely updates on there. Also, if you've enjoyed the content, a like is always appreciated. So is a comment. Hit that subscribe button because we release videos just like this on a daily basis, keeping you up to date with the latest taking place on markets. The news was very slow today, not a great deal of news coming out. But yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Monday.